Okay, Mike, little video for you, mate, from our session. Yeah, so I mean, we always start off talking about the golf swing, about what we're observing first, right? So what are we? That's why I get the ropes down on the ground, um, so we can see where the ball's starting, where it's curving, if it's moving back onto the target, away from the target, and with you, it was a bit of a, some shots went over here, some shots went over there, some shots you hit straight down the rope, some shots you topped, some shots you hit heavy. Um, so I think to get you back to a standard where we playing some pretty good golf again, we need to work on a couple of main things, right? The diagnosis of the problems. Well, the first one is your miss hits, right? You can't play good golf if you're not getting the bat on the ball, right? So the first one is low point, right? We need to work on your low point of your swing. That needs to be past the ball, not in front of the ball, right? So you can see um, as you come down, that club head is bottoming out too soon, right? So the low point's kind of, even before the ball, not past the ball, right? You can see the club, you're hitting the ball, and the club's actually traveling upwards after impact, should still be traveling down, right? So, that's one of them. And the next one would be path, right? So you're coming down a little over the top, face is a little open, but the path is definitely on top of the plane and coming slightly across the ball, right? So you're swinging out to in. So all the things that we're working on and are going to work on in future sessions are all going to relate to those two things, right? Getting your low point better, getting the low point past the ball, and getting your path into out, or certainly attacking it from the inside and then swinging round and finishing on the inside as well, right? So what changes would need to take place to change your shot patterns, right? Well, the first one we talked about was what you're doing with your head, right? So you can see backswing from the face on view, not too bad. You stay pretty centered. I like that. But then as you start to come down, you can see how that head's moving forward, right? So the head's moving forward. Um, um, so I could pull top 100 golf pros up in the world, right? They're all keeping their head pretty much inside that circle until well past impact. Most of them to about P8 when your right arm's parallel with the ground, right? So you're a little forward, right? We need to keep your head back, and then when your head's more forward, you've got no back bend. Look at P8, your back's pretty straight up and down. So we'll talk about that in a second. The next change that needs to take place would be your tempo, right? It's way too fast and out of control. You're right. You can't control something. You can't navigate that ball around the golf course if you're just swinging out your shoes, right? And that's what I found with pretty much all the shots that you hit, right? It's way too fast, right? So we need something to work on for your tempo. The next one was that what that right arm does, right? And we kind of, we looked at what you were doing on the backswing, and I said, right, well, at the top here, it looks like your elbows are separating a little bit. There's a little bit too much kind of gap underneath there with the right arm, and then certainly from this angle coming down, you can see how that right arm is just not connected at all, not pinching at all, right? So there's a lot of space underneath that right arm. Now, it's a weird one because, we're thinking, right, well, if your head's moving forward, the low point is going to be too much past the ball, right? But it's kind of like a countermeasure. It's like one thing is counteracting the other thing. It's like your head is moving too much forward, but then to maybe make up for it, your right arm's extending too early there. It's not pinching against the side of your body. And of course, when that right arm starts extending too soon, then you start dumping the club, right? You lose your wrist cock. So when you come down to here and your hands are over your right thigh, we want the club still up here somewhere. You can see how you've just dumped the club head, and it's too low too soon. So there's definitely we need to work on what that right arm's doing. Okay. So how would we how are we going to go about implementing these changes? Well, the head. Let me pull up your practice drills here. 1 second. So I think this one. So this is the one where we're just working on your back bend, right? We're saying, right, when you get it up to P8 here, which is right arm parallel with the ground, right? I want some more back bend. You've got to start feeling more back bend to keep your head nice and centered, right? And you do that, and you were doing that really well there. It's just you were staying on your back foot, right? So we want to keep that back bend, and that's what I'm doing there. I'm saying, right, keep the back bend with your upper body, but just get your hips over your left foot. There you go. Right. So you look at that action there, that kind of move. Now, yes, you moved your head forward a little bit, but you look at that action there compared to the one on the right side, and that's a completely different look, right? Number one, you got your right pocket. You got your right pocket more forward. Your right pocket now is over your left foot, so it tells me you got your hips over your feet, and you've got some back bend. Right, so that was really good. So then I said, right, well, do that. Do that for me, just with a nice sort of slow rhythm, and show me that you can do it. There you go. That's much better. That's much better. So your hips are over, the right pocket's over your left foot, and you've got some back bend. That was awesome. Right. So to keep the head steady, you've just got to remember where you've got to try and finish. Right. I just want you to hit shots, just punching some out there. Right there with straight arms. When you're in that position, you've just got to remember that you need back bend when you're there, right? If your head's moving forward, like you swing at the start of the session, you ain't going to get any back bend. Look, your back's going straight up, right? Good example of that would be Grant Waite, right? Head in the middle of the stance, stays in the middle of the stance as the hips move forward, and then as he gets down to P8, he's got some back bend, right? And we're not just talking, we're not just talking like a little bit of back bend. We're talking like 20 degrees of back bend, right? We want to be bending backwards. There's definitely a bending backwards. Now everybody does it a little bit differently, but I would say on average you're talking 20 degrees of back bend at a position 8 there, right? So what I'm saying is that feeling, that's how you're going to implement keeping your head steady, right? That's how you're going to do keeping your head steady. When you the slower tempo is just going to be a softer hands thing, right? The softer you can place your hands on, and I think the word slower is better for you, right? Because you're so fast, right? And it's probably one of those things where you've been a good player. The potential is still there. You still want to hit the ball a long way, so we want to give it a good smack, right? But you've gone a little bit too fast now, right? And generally speaking, it comes from the hands. So you start swinging, you start holding that thing softer and lighter, not necessarily with regards to changing your grip. You know, the placement I still want on, but just squeezing it less, right? I think that's the way you feel it, and try and feel as, I mean, you know, just watching your swing, it's kind of over and done with in half a second, right? So try and make these practice swings. Think of Tiger and his practice swings at the Masters, right? Very long. His practice swings very long, very flowing, a lot slower than his normal practice swing, right? Try and emulate what he does in his practice swing. It's longer, it's slower, right? Taking his time a little bit more, feeling what he's meant to be doing in his golf swing. That's what's going to help you with your tempo. And also, you know, if you're hitting shots out there with a 6-iron and you normally hit your 6-iron 180, just hit your 6-iron 140, 150, right? Take the hit out of the shot. And then the next one we talked about was that right arm, wasn't it? So let me pull your swing up again. Because it's that right arm which dumps the club too early, look. So you see how the club is already down here. So with that right arm pinching, right, and we do that by just getting a T-peg under your right arm, an old glove, a T-peg, something to give you a feeling of some pinching under that right arm. We want that upper right arm against your torso, right, connected, pinching, right. You can see as you come down, you've got all this space underneath your right arm. That extends your right arm too soon, which dumps the club, right? As soon as your right arm starts extending, the left wrist starts uncocking, right? So you can see there, if we stop you there, well, actually, it'd stop you there first. Yeah, and you can see that one on the left side, much more sort of pinching, right? Your right arm's pinching against the side of your body. So that's a much better look. So this is the one which is going to really affect your low point the most, right? Right arm not connected, dumps the club, uncocks the left wrist, and that low point's too far back. Now with our right arm pinching, now we can feel as though we're getting the hands forward. There you go. Look at that. So coming down to P6, now you've got the look of where the tour pros are, right? Whereas you come down to P6 and the club's already dumped, right? So that right arm pinching is a big one, right? That's going to then get your club head still hitting down on the ball. Now you left the face wide open on that one, but look where your hands get to there, hands underneath your shoulder, loads of forward shaft lean, right? So yeah, the face was a bit open, face open. We're not hitting any shots. I just want you to show me that you understand, you understood that, right? And then come through, bit of back bend. Yeah, that's much better, mate. Much better look, right? Much better look to it. So they're the things, mate. They're for me. They're the main things that we got to start checking off, right? If we had boxes, we want to start checking things off. We need the head staying steady. We need a slower tempo, and we need the right arm pinching. How long is it going to take to start implementing those changes and for you to own those changes so they start showing up on the golf course under pressure? I don't know. You know, that's down to you and how much time and work and effort you put into it, into making the changes. The more reps you do, and the more times you go on the course and commit to making these changes on the course, the quicker you get used to it, and the quicker it will show up under competition. But I hope that makes sense, mate. Went a little deep, but you're a good player. You understood it. So if you had any questions, just shoot me over an email. Thanks, mate.